Hello everybody and welcome to HSR's top 15 albums of 2017. So we decided to kind of split this into each of us making our own list videos because we all have some slightly different circumstances depending on the shows we were on, etc. In my case, I decided to go with the top albums I found in 2017. I reviewed nearly 100 albums this year that came out, and between all the genres, and I decided to mix it all up into a single list. One thing to take into consideration is that this isn't necessarily about what is the best album to me. Instead, I was focusing on which albums I liked the most, the albums that I kind of wanted to listen to again once we were done with the review, once we'd moved on, once, time had passed, a real reflection of which ones I appreciated the most, or in some cases gave me something to think about or whatever, taught me something, I don't know. We'll talk about them album by album. So as we go through the list, I'm going to just kind of focus again, just some quick little things that I took note of. But if you want the full kind of breakdown of how we felt about any particular album, in the description of this video, I have linked to each review that we did for any album I'm going to mention today. On that note, that's a bit of a spoilers thing, so it's really just the video. We're going to run through the list. There's nothing to skip ahead to, so you can check out the list real quick in the description if you want, or you can sit here and go along with me. I don't really have anything more to go with this, so on that note, let's talk about the album that came in number 15. Alright, so in number 15, I put Brockhampton's Saturation 3. We literally just did this review, and I'm kind of happy it appeared before I finished my list. This is the most diverse and interesting group of young people I encountered in hip-hop this year. Just the mix of styles they throw into this boy band collective of all these people, the fact that they're photographers, they're sound engineers, everyone's just part of the group. The fact that there's just so many different styles of rap blended into the same songs. The production just flips on every single track just to fit each person. It's enthralling. It's it might not be my favorite album by any means. As you can see, it came in 15th. It just made the list, but it's a group that I really want to watch now. It's the more I hear it, the more I'm curious. They have done something that I think was truly new and interesting. And at the end of the day, that is kind of a rare thing. So what I wanted to just point out a little bit along the way was the metrics kind of behind each album, because it's something to take a look at. So this album was 46 minutes long. It has 15 songs on it, and of those, one of them is what I'm going to call a tiny song, so it's around 90 seconds or less, and 3 skits. Now, this kind of comes into my decision-making process a little bit, the length of the album, how many songs. Now, I have nothing against a short album. When you start reviewing albums, sometimes a short album can feel like a gift, considering the length of some of the other albums that come on this list and how many times in a row you got to listen to it. So I'm cool with short ones, I'm cool with long ones. As long as it's significant, I'd say past 40 minutes, it's a safe length for my life. Sorry if this is a bit rambly. I ain't never done one of these before. I'm used to having a squad, so we're just rolling with it. But yeah, so 11 legitimately interesting, diverse, unique experiences. Sorry, I'd say 12 because that tiny song still counts. The 3 skits are really well thought out and kind of tying the central theme to the album. They released a short video to go with the album. It's the third part of this Saturation series, so maybe the 1 and 2 are better, but this is the one that kind of hit my radar. And sorry, one thing I didn't mention is all the albums on this list are going to be things I've reviewed, because that's the only shit that I gave proper attention enough to make a decision on. So if Saturation 1 and 2 are better, I'm going to check them out. I haven't listened to them yet, but I absolutely plan on doing so. Anyway, my favorite tracks off of this album are absolutely Boogie. I heard that, and it blew my fucking mind and made me just want to listen to the album, and it might actually be one of the best openers for an album that has come out all year. And then Sister Nation was such an interesting fucking song that I couldn't help but dig it. The production on that is truly fucking next level. Anyway, I've talked a bit on this one. Let's move on to number 14 on this list. Okay, full disclosure, they shared me on Facebook, like our review, and I'm a little bit biased into thinking they're awesome because of that. But I was already thinking they were awesome when we did the review, so it totally counts to take this as a contender. This album is the Diablo Swing Orchestra Pacifisticuffs album. It is fucking interesting. Like, the reason it's so low on my list isn't a reflection of necessarily the talent behind the album, but really just I gotta be in a particular mood to put this on. However, when you are in that kind of upbeat, you want to like dance around, move, feel some energy, go through almost like a cinematic experience in album form, it hits the nail on the head. It's lyrically sound. So when you actually do take some time to think about the lyrics, it kind of tells this story in almost satirizing the way social justice warriors approach stuff. It's fucking interesting. Plus the music, like they are able to take something like 6 or 7 genres of music and like compact them into a single song, transitioning every 4 to 8 bars sometimes. Effects, all sorts of interesting fucking like amazing stuff. All that to say, this album blew my freaking mind. It's 44 minutes and it's 13 songs before interludes, meaning there's only really 9 songs plus the opener, Arm Yourself with Love, which I fucking love. It's one of my favorite songs. It's a little short at 2, but they make up for it by having some like 6-ish, 7-ish, maybe even minute songs like Superhero Jagannath, which is just fucking epic experience of joy. But it's hard to like rank an album super high that's only really given us 9 songs, so it ended up going lower. Plus the middle part of this album, I don't know, as much as I admire and respect the musical diversity, the choices, the change, the way that they keep it alive, it was a little bit hard to also get into it. It just changed so much, and I'm certain if I went back and I listened to it more, maybe it would like grow on me, but I've done it a couple times now, and really the first part of this album is amazing, and the end part of this album is amazing, and there's just a couple songs in the middle where I get a little bored, and that's just kind of the reality of the situation. Anyway, freaking dig this album. Highly recommended to anyone out there who likes weird experimental music. They really are a mix of Diablo, metal, swing, and orchestral music put together. Their name is an excellent summation of who the fuck they are. Okay. Enough rambling. Let's talk about the 13th album on this list. So in 13, we have Papa Roach's Crooked Teeth. Now, I just really dig this album a lot. When I was younger, Papa Roach's Infest and their second album were fucking cool to me. I was really into that nu metal phase. I still like nu metal. I'm a firm believer that nu metal was one of the most interesting musics when done right. Granted, as is the case with most music, there is a bunch of bullshit out there. Sure, Papa Roach, when they started at least, were fucking cool. Then they kind of like progressed in the middle to like that emo-y stuff. Now, if anyone out there wants to criticize my choice of word of emo, I'm using it very liberally here. But they weren't necessarily like, when I mean emo singing, like obviously they were emo in their lyrics with the rapping and whatnot, but they had the rapping, they had this like hybridness. Then they kind of went full singing and became almost indistinguishable from other bands. And then I heard this. Now, I don't actually know if their other albums are like this, but according to their wiki page, this was like a Return to the Roots album, which is exactly what the fuck I really wanted. So the whole thing was a pleasant experience. The last couple of songs kind of fall off as they lose the rappy vibe and just kind of go to singing. And I like him a lot better as a rapper with singy hooks than just a singer. But it kind of like lyrically explores themes like the consequences of parties and just kind of like waking up after and looking back at your life and you know, haunted by the best years of my life is like one of the lyrics and things like that. And it's a really interesting album. It's 13 songs. It's 34 minutes, making it possibly one of the shortest on this list, which is okay because of how much enjoyment I got out of it. I mean, you got Skylar Grey and MGK as features, which was fucking cool to me. I really, really enjoyed it. My favorite songs off of this album, without a doubt, are Periscope, Sunrise Trailer, and Break the Fall. But I could say the first 10 or 11 I can listen to without interruption, with pure enjoyment. It's not really an album I'm going to all the time, and it's not necessarily Papa Roach's fault. Unfortunately, this new metal sound, it's kind of jarring depending on what else you're listening to, and I guess it just makes me want to go out there and build out a playlist of dope shit that it can fit with and become a great experience for me. Yeah, that just kind of went off to nowhere, so I'm going to just say this album's worth your time if you dig that new metal sound, that classic Papa Roach, or, just try the one with MGK if you're into hip-hop. On that note, let's talk about album number 12. 40 years ago, how the fuck did I survive? Something that I'll never know. As you can see, we are talking about Body Count's Bloodlust, coming in at number 12 over here. This album has 11 songs, 41 minutes, and one interesting fucking interlude that serves its purpose as an interlude the way it's supposed to. I'd never really embraced the Body Count experience prior to this review. I mean, obviously I knew who Ice-T was, but like we had discussed on a couple reviews now, we all know Ice-T more as an actor, as a person, than we did ever musically. I mean, I knew what Cop Killer was. I knew he had this side to him, but I'd never explored it. And holy shit, like every song, it's like they worked with top-tier folk to perfect the sound and explored multiple subgenres of metal on this album. Ice-T brings this sharp lyricism, critical, astute, political stuff. It really just starts off with the premise of like a civil war and how too late we're already there, and just explores a lot of the downside of the humanity almost. Like, This Is How We Ride, one of my favorite tracks, explores kind of like a psychological observation justifying why a hood person may proceed to engage in an act of vengeance. But it explains it sufficiently to, maybe somebody like me who, albeit from the lower class, is still from Montreal, so it ain't really like we got that stuff happening here with great prevalence regardless of what anybody our rap scene actually says. Not saying it doesn't happen. I'm just saying that, like, it's really easy to not be involved in that. Anyway, basically this album blew my mind. It's definitely something that sat with me all year, but not the whole thing. It's a little bit of the songs that I really like, I really fucking like Black Hoodie, fucking amazing. No Lives Matter, Civil War's great. There's a few more in the middle. The Slayer cover's awesome, but then there's just a couple that just didn't sit right with me. And again, like, you can't really call it like best album if there's a few songs on it that don't really sit with you. And yeah, maybe all albums will be like that, but there's just a couple that I wanted to skip. However, like 80% of this album is super incredible to me, and from what I've checked with the metalheads, the ones I don't like, it might just be that I'm not like a real metalhead. I'm just a dude who appreciates good metal, and that means that I don't necessarily like all the things I'm supposed to like. On that note, we're just rambling again. Might be a bit of that, so let's bounce on to number 11. My Glock came from Smyrna, Georgia. My F-15 from Lupe Fiasco drops Drogas Light in January, promising 2 more albums this year that never came, but that doesn't diminish how good I find Drogas Light. This album, like the first 4 fucking songs, insanity. Like, it's so good. It starts with Dopamine, and then it hold on one second. It starts with Dopamine. It moves right into NGL. I'm not gonna say it, but you know what? It moves right on into NGL. Followed by that, you've got Promise. You've got Made in the USA. Oh, all 4 of those, to me, bangers. 5-on-5 songs. Like, they're all still plussed on my Spotify. And this is like way back when this dropped, right? This song is 1 hour and 1 minute, the longest one we've talked about so far, and it's got 14 tracks, just straight up tracks, so it's significant length. It's a full feeling album. Track 5 would jump with the jizzle, sorry if I said that wrong. Super interesting, and it shows his creativity, his storytelling. And then City of the Year, amazing song. Like, you can almost run through the whole track list and it gets really good. I'm not the biggest fan of Tranquilo, although having listened to Big Crit, I do dig his verse more. Anyway, so that's kind of what happened. It's going really good. I dig the Simon Says tracks, but then there's a couple of songs near the end. I'm not a big fan of War Child. More Than My Heart, not really a big fan of. So the last couple of songs, it just kind of like fell off a little bit for me. And it's really stylistic preference more than it is like these songs are bad. I think it's an extremely well-rounded album. I think that it might not have the level of detail of something like Tetsuo and Youth, which we checked out, and I don't know about his older work yet, but considering the albums that came out this year, every song here has a really strong purpose, and it almost really does represent this group of people, which is something I believe Lupe set out to do with this project. So I have a high admiration to it. If I could recommend anything, on the one end, NGL or Promise. On the other end, Dopamine, and Made in the USA. Pick your of the first 4 songs. Pick one of those 2, and it gives you like a good idea for the 2 sides of this album, with maybe a couple of exceptions. On that note, that's all I got to say about Drogas Light. Let's talk about the top 10 part of this list. And coming in at number 10, we got...
Shit's coming, it's real, mama. And none of that is cool, but it's her decision to choose.
Let's talk about Rapsody's Laila's Wisdom. So to all you real super duper hip hop heads, understand that my biggest grievance with this album is my lack of interest in the sounds of the beats. So this New York-y, classic-y feel, it's truly amazing. My positive observation to that is this could have come out in like 95 or 2015 or 2025, and I bet it'll still feel like a gem of classic hip-hop released in like a modern era, which is truly amazing, and it's why it's on this list. Rapsody has extremely amazing talent. Her lyrics are incredible. Her delivery, her alive dynamic nature is just truly enthralling. But Ninth Wonder is a guy who makes beats that are not necessarily my favorite on this album, and it's not like a quality of production. I think the production is stellar. I think like in the super objective way where my feelings aren't involved, this shit is a true masterpiece, totally deserving of its Grammy win. We reviewed it on our Classic Quest series, and it felt like one of the best classic albums. Like, it felt like it just fit in with anything else that you can think of. On the other hand, if you watch us for a minute, you'll know that I'm not a biggest fan of like that jazz blues feel stuff. So some of the music just didn't necessarily resonate with me, while the lyrics and the message and the delivery of Rapsody herself, it's like 6 on 5. Like, she is definitely one of the best MCs that has come out this year, and if this was a top lyrics list or a top lyricist list, she'd rank freaking top 5 100%. But this is about me liking these albums and going back to them and stuff. And there are a few songs on this hour and 4-minute adventure. There are 14 tracks, which I can 100% respect because, again, not many skits or anything. She really uses it. She has a couple of interludes, like a very classic feel. My favorite tracks on this are Chrome, like, oh, the song just feels so alive. Like, the first time I heard it, I was like, that's just fucking weird. But the more I listened to it, the more it kind of grew on me. And it's more like I appreciate the value in it. Like, I want to study this album. I want to learn from this album. But it's not necessarily giving me the same feeling of I want to go put this on and just, like, relax. I feel like it's more, it's an active thing. And that's on me. And I totally get that. But I appreciate what Rapsody did with this. And I certainly hope she wins the Grammy because it's a dope freaking MC. Gender isn't even relevant in the question. Rapsody just threw her fucking album in and just it owns. It's fucking strong. I think the Jesus Coming song is one of the most epic story tracks I heard. Like, I almost felt like I almost shed a tear like the first time I heard it. It moved me. But then there's a couple songs in the middle where I'm like, okay, it's alright. Anyway, I'm just gonna say that this deserves to be in the top 10. To you, it might deserve to be higher, and if you disagree with me, you can let me know in the comments below. It's not necessarily gonna change my opinion. I listened to all these albums, put this in order of how much I like them, and keep in mind, it's different styles of music, different things I'm looking for, different moods, different everything. But I want to make it clear, Rapsody's one of the sickest MCs I heard this year. Okay, let's move on to number 9. So yo, Marilyn Manson's Heaven Upside Down. I don't know how you guys feel about that. Some of these people like, did this motherfucker just put Marilyn Manson ahead of Rapsody? Yeah, I kind of did. I look at my Spotify that I have open just over on the next screen, and everything but one track on this album is still plus since I reviewed it. And very few albums capsulated me like that this year. Granted, I'm a new Manson fan, you can say. I've never put in the time or the effort to like look at his catalog, but there are so many parts of this album that resonated with me. His feelings of being an outcast, maybe obtaining some power, his almost sadistic dark side that gets explored, but with the calmer maturity of an older dude. Like, it doesn't feel like he's trying to be so much shocking as almost just expressive. Like he's almost feels like, you guys are still offended by me? Whatever. Satan. Like, you know, it's like he's not even trying to be offensive, because he almost finds it as ridiculous. He's just trying to be this drugged out dude that he is. That's cool. But the album has so many different energies on it, so many different feelings, and I found that in some cases it's when I went back to the album that I actually started liking songs more and more. My favorite songs of this are Kill For Me and Blood Honey. Truly awesome tracks, but there are only 10, so it's only 10 songs, 47 minutes, good length for only 10 songs. But like Saturnalia alone is like 8 minutes. It's a good track, no disrespect. I find it lyrically interesting, sonically interesting, but I really do have to be in a particular mood for it. And it's not like, it's definitely a great album. Obviously, I think it's one of the best that came out this year. It makes me want to go back, and I did. I listened to like the first 4 Manson albums plus his EP after this. Like, it was super impactful to me, and I can't disregard that. And whether or not you feel those are valid metrics, it's just kind of how I put this list together. So I'm gonna go on then to the next album, album number 8. I'm the only ghost walking through the hallways. So yeah, Nickelback made my list. Seriously, nearly everybody I told about this laughed at me, and it was just kind of like, you know, maybe I was wrong about Nickelback all these years, because I came at this proper, and I'm gonna give Chad Kroeger like some serious fucking points. As far as songwriting goes, in the 11 songs, the 43 minutes, no skits or anything, each song has a distinct rhythm structure, tone choices, like the way he sings every verse and every chorus is absolutely 100% distinct. From like a songwriting perspective, I think Chad Kroeger may actually be one of the most talented songwriters out there. But like all the real music lover types just kind of go, it is Nickelback, fuck Nickelback, and then like just kind of write it off. I'm like, yo, Feed the Machine's dope. The album has a point to it. There was one song I didn't like, but the other 10 were fucking awesome. Like the track he wrote about cheating, the track he wrote about like coming from the other side, like he kind of reminds me of the other dudes who come from poorness and grow into richness, but don't forget where they come from. It's like, it's almost cool to hate them for stupid reasons, and I think it's not lame to hate Nickelback. And if you just hate Nickelback to hate Nickelback and you don't even bother to try an album as truly awesome as Feed the Machine, I don't know what to say, man. Like, this song is full of lovely gems, like Home, like Must Be Nice, the title track / opener, Feed the Machine, Coin for the Ferryman is a great energy. And honestly, I put this album on from beginning to end. It was a pure joy to listen to. I know it might not be everyone's voice, and I have one particular friend who's absolutely insistent that Chad Kroeger's voice is fucking annoying. And if you do happen to feel like that, I get it. But that doesn't actually make Nickelback a worse band. And I find it strange that here I am at the end of 2017 defending fucking Nickelback, but this album deserves to be on this list. Some may say it deserves to be higher. Some may be like, what the fuck? Then again, you don't know what the other albums on this list are quite yet, unless you skipped ahead in the comments. But still, truly great experience if you're into rock music, obviously, but it's kind of this great hybrid of like heavier metal-esque sounds and like a good rock feel, and truly interesting. Check this fucking album out, then decide if you like Nickelback or not. On that note, we're going to continue on the rock theme for number 7. Okay, it's like undeniable that Dave Grohl's awesome, and this Foo Fighters Concrete and Gold album is just stellar. It's 11 songs in 48 minutes, although T-Shirt, the opening one's only a minute 23. Still dope. Comes in, introduces the album, comes from this like super soft, super quiet thing, blasts out into loudness, and here's what I can say. 11 songs. Every last one of them is a unique fucking experience. Now, whereas maybe Nickelback can write a better song from like a technical standpoint, Dave Grohl just makes you feel rock and roll. This is the first album that we're going to talk about where it doesn't really matter what mood I'm in, how I'm feeling or whatever. I'll put on something like Sunday Rain, and I'm just chanting along, picturing a stadium, like, do it away. I don't know the words, but da-da-da-da-da. And just like freaking out, and like, it's so amazing, right? Like, Run is great. Fucking Happily Never After, 0 Hours, great. Dirty Water is my absolute favorite song on this album. Everyone likes The Sky is a Neighborhood. I'm a little on that one, but let's say the worst of this album would be like a 4 on 5, as in it's a great song, it just might not be my favorite. On the other hand, it's one of those super awesome rock experiences. It'll make you want to throw your lighter up, it'll make you want to like mash out and just vibe to it, whilst all at the same time having like an interesting, poetically delivered message. Like, Dave Grohl has something to say here. He's out of the chair, he's ready to go, and Concrete and Gold is a truly interesting experience. I was very pleased to review this album, as it is maybe the first Foo Fighters album, and I've been told, man, you're an idiot, go listen to the older stuff, and I want to now. I'm completely convinced, I'm completely fucking sold. Foo Fighters, like, I mean, don't get me wrong, I've liked the Foo Fighters most of my life, but like the singles, you know, I never really delved into an album, and that is to my detriment. Still, super fucking impressive. It totally deserves its number 7 slot. Maybe you think it's higher. Maybe you think it's number 1. Why don't you tell me how you feel in the comments and shit. As we're getting higher, I'm going to plug that more because we're talking about what I think to be the best albums. Now, what I'm going to put in number 6 might actually piss a few of you off, but I don't give a shit.
I'm willing to die for this shit. I done cried for this shit. Might take a life for this shit.
I've received a few comments that I'm a fucking asshole, and I can be, especially if we're talking about things like what I feel is important or what I like and just the general blah blah blahs of life. So if you think I'm an asshole, sorry, but not sorry. And I think that Kendrick Lamar actually feels the same way on Damn. And it's interesting because so much of this is like, you just feel he oozes with this confidence, this knowledge of knowing some shit. Like, he put together this whole story album, and then if you play it backwards, it's a reversed story album. And I know I saw somewhere that the story backwards is kind of lame, and I agree. It really just, to me at least, works in the singular direction, and in the backwards direction's kind of I mean, I was so caught up into the double album theory, and I fanboyed hard for this, but let's be real. Kendrick Lamar dropped a fucking masterpiece with Damn. It's 55 minutes, 14 songs with that one little skit thing in the beginning to start you off. And every song it's so interesting how many voices and the mixings, and like how within sometimes a single verse he might have his sound engineer drop like 15 presets, and like you just start picturing how his mind works as he breaks the song into almost syllabolic parts and combs through it, and the attention to detail is insane. Like, every song on this song is arguably a masterpiece, but I don't really like GWAR Loyalty. I'm just gonna say it. I don't like them. Like, GWAR's better than Loyalty to me, but I just don't feel it. But I do really like Feel. Feel is pretty good. Ultimately, I think when the song hits, like DNA or Humble is a fucking masterpiece. Put those on any day of the week, and you're just vibing to it. Or Element too has that effect on me. Then you got the stuff that's like Lust or Triple X or Pride, where it's kind of like when I'm in the mood for it, it's just truly epic. And again, it's not necessarily to take away from the quality. The quality of all these songs are next fucking level. And you know, like Love and stuff, where I feel like Love is just a strange song that he threw into the album, and I never really fully, I'm certain somebody broke down the full theory and can link to it, but to me, it just kind of felt out of place. And then it kind of progresses past that, and it's like, okay, like Fear is good. I mean, I don't dislike this album by any means. I know maybe it comes off a little bit like I'm disinterested in parts of it, but that's because I am disinterested in parts of it. I respect and admire what Kendrick Lamar has done here, and it is absolutely one of the 10 best albums this year, but I do think there are 5 better than it. I think that from a genius perspective, it's there, but there's something that isn't necessarily as relatable or meaningful as, say, Good Kid, Mad City or to Pimp a Butterfly. Like, the passion has changed into almost like, I feel like Kendrick is a little bit disconnected on this one. And I feel disconnected as well. Like, obviously, I'm a bit of a dick. I'm not great with people. So I can kind of relate to so many parts of this album. But I find it's more something that, again, like I've compared it again a little bit like a Picasso. It's not necessarily something that I want to go look at every day or I want to put on. But when I do, I'm just mesmerized. I'm blown away by how incredible this album is. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, it is a top 5 rap album this year. So, spoilers, a couple of top 5 hour rap, but truly amazing, truly worth listening to at the very least. It would, in my opinion, it should make you, if you never listen to Kendrick, want to go back and check out his older work, which is truly delightful. Okay, enough about Kendrick. Let's talk about number 5. In the dark, but y'all might think Kendrick Lamar put a lot of attention to detail into his album. I'm going to tell you that Björk put a lot more attention to detail into this experience that we listen to. I recommend you listen to it. I don't know if y'all like Björk, if y'all ever heard of Björk. She's Icelandic. She's the shit. I have put on a couple of her older things, and I'm just mesmerized by the versatility this woman brings to the fucking table. This is an hour and 11 minutes, 14 songs, although one of them's a little bit short, but then most of them are pretty fucking long. It is an experience. You go through almost this movie in Björk's like overcoming of painful memories and learning to love again. Like, she is a feisty 50-something-year-old lady is what I learned, but not in a bad way. Like, you get into it and you're just like, wow, like the subtle sounds, the bird whistles there, the way she like records this line in this way and then rolls her R's over there, and like the choice of language she puts in, you can just tell that this woman really enjoys walking around nature writing music as she does. But maybe it's just because it was so new to me, but objectively speaking, I think this is definitely one of the greatest albums to come out this year across all genres. And I'm willing to bet that the only reason the Grammys and others aren't picking up on it is because the lady might not have the relevancy that she used to have. However, I'm shocked that like more people aren't talking about how fucking amazing this is. Like, it's a movie. Don't even think about it like an album. Go like put it on, close your eyes, lie back, hour and 20 minutes later, boom, snap out of it. You've just gone through the Björk experience. If you really want to be sold on it, I think the Courtship track is a great example of showing her love of hip-hop roots, and Body Memory is just 9 minutes of fucking interesting. Ending in such a strange but curious way. Ultimately, I really fucking like Björk. Like, that's what happened to me. I got converted into a fan. This album made me pitch my boy, who in a few months we might actually start with Björk. We're going to run through her discography. We're going to record more albums like of her, like just learn, because as an artist, if you are a musician, a rapper, whoever, you can only gain the benefit from studying how somebody like Björk puts music together, and possibly even more so than looking at Kendrick Lamar's Damn. And it's a damn shame that more people aren't bumping this and just shouting for joy. So fuck it, I'm on Team Björk. Top 5 album this year for me. let's go and discuss the number 4 album.
They try to keep me down with the fiction I've made.
I'm gonna feel like a bit of a broken record right here, but as far as Beck's concerned, I actually knew Beck's music about as much as I knew Björk's, which is like next to none. And I was blown away. I mean, there's a couple Beck songs that I think everybody knows, that like the hot hit ones, but then he kind of disappeared, and then he went and made music I wasn't necessarily feeling, but that's because I was an idiot. And as often you'll see, as time goes on, I am often foolish in terms of my prior musical tastes. I put on this Beck album, and I felt I maybe plussed 1 or 2 of them. Then I plussed a couple more the next listen. And the more I hear this album, the more I'm like, damn, it's layered, it's interesting. It's 11 songs, although one of the songs is just a different mix of a prior one. So we'll say it's 10 songs in about 40 minutes, and it's beautiful. It is, every song has its own distinction, its own life. Again, this dude has that same level of attention to detail that somebody like Kendrick or Björk bring to the table, and you're going to see that is super important to me. Like, you go back to the song, and you re-listen to it, and they grow on you, like, Colors. I didn't necessarily like it the first time, although that shit is one of the best music videos. Basically, it's a bunch of slime, and it's very, like, I think it's cathartic or whatever the word is. Like, you just watch it and you just get relaxed like a cat. You just like trail your head and you just get into it. And I'm just thinking about it makes me feel more peaceful. It's worth watching if you want to like have a strange experience with Colors in that song. Seventh Heaven's dope. I'm so free. Holy shit. Like, you just can't help it. I'm in the shower. I'm like, I'm so free. You're just like freaking out. Like, it's an amazing song. Dear Life is good. Dreams. Oh, so much of this album is fantastic. I know I just keep like listing songs. I'm just kind of focusing on the ones I plussed because those are my favorite songs off this album. I think I'm going to have to go listen to more Beck. I understand why he swept the Grammys the last time he won, and I certainly hope that he makes more music. I mean, he will, and I'm proud to call myself a new Beck fan. Completely amazed at the quality of music here, the lyrical analysis. This guy is a real fucking artist, like next level fucking artist, but in a way where he makes music that's so digestible to a pop market while at the same time being like fucking awesome to people who understand music. This guy is fucking genius is what I'm trying to say. Not many people, Björk's genius too. Björk fan, she's genius, relax. But she's pretty, Beck's pretty fucking awesome. Okay, that's enough going on about Colors. Let's talk about number 3.
What good though it's 6 feet under.
Yo, number 3 is Big K.R.I.T. Forever is a mighty long time. I fucking dig this project. I don't understand. October, whatever, 27th or whenever this fucking album came out was a great fucking day. It dropped. Like, this is a double disc collection, each disc containing 11 songs. The whole thing's an hour, 25 minutes. That's a shit ton of time for me to be this fucking excited, you know? It starts off with the Big K.R.I.T. song, which is kind of like Justin Scott talking to Big K.R.I.T. and responding to the character, and it just creates this context. So it's the Big K.R.I.T. album and then the Justin Scott album, and it kind of explores a little bit the psyche and the various things he's dealing with and perceptions, and every song is about something different. Even if there's a couple I'm not a huge fan of, like I don't really like 1999, sorry, but I like the rest of that fucking first disc, and there's a couple on the second disc that are a little singy and not necessarily my cup of tea. But the second disc also praises Keep the Devil Off, and holy shit, so many fucking great, well thought out, well composed, well executed tracks displaying multiple styles of what K.R.I.T. can bring to the table. It shows the dude can drop a legitimate concept album. Like, I don't see many dudes who can drop legitimate concepts in such a loose way. Like, it's clearly maybe not a story, but just because your concept's not a story doesn't make it less of a concept. So you can feel what K.R.I.T.'s going for. And it really, as a person who really never listened to him before, this is like the greatest welcome to Big K.R.I.T. experience, because it really introduces you to who he is now, what he's dealing with. You get kind of flashes, as I imagine, different parts of it, his career. Like, features are fun. I don't know, man. I feel like Chris and I have been saying, yo, Confetti's heavy and shit all year because of his album. Like, I honestly feel like just the idea of having confetti that is in fact heavy is a very important thing. And Big K.R.I.T put that as the second song on this project to make sure that people like, you know, like it's just well thought out. And his confetti is fucking heavy. So is pretty much everyone on this list, in my opinion. But Big K.R.I.T blew my fucking mind. And I don't understand why this album is not being talked about by fucking everyone. Again, I feel like it was a little slept on. We slept on it. You know how I know? We did it like 3 weeks late. November was a shitty month for album releases. But when we did it, and I'm so happy we did it, it was educational to me as an MC to look at how this guy put this project together, how he kept my interest. His 2 skits might be the funniest fucking skits in the whole of 2017. You got the one, it's classic, it's classic, it's classic. And you know what, man? I had that conversation. I've seen it happen so many times. There's fuckers just... And then the one about the clubs, really just satirizing and criticizing aspects of the culture in the midst of this beautifully laced project. Fucking man, you got my number 3 spot. Big K.R.I.T, amazing fucking project. I'm saying it's better than Damn. Big K.R.I.T is dope. Anyway, let's jump ahead then to the number 2 on this list.
Cause I swear when I get up, I'm never gonna let up till everybody eats my turds.
Revival. Eminem. Y'all haters. That's all I'm saying. All you who are like, what the fuck? So I had a lot of time to think about this. Eminem wrote the album that I feel if I were to memorize this album, this particular album, Revival here, my skills as a writer and an MC would improve. As a poet, I would get a better handle of puns and double and triple entendres, because the literal intelligence behind the writing on this album is the best this year. The amount of effort putting into crafting each line, like even the stupid and ridiculous shit, the stuff that might be turn offish, it's so well done. Like this album was written with like a university level of focus and dedication in terms of the language employed and the poetry behind it. Like you could probably build an entire course around Revival. Every week, pick a song, boom, 15 or whatever, 20 weeks or whatever the fucking track list is. It's 19 songs, sorry, hour, 17 minutes. Granted, there's an intro little track and it's short, and then there's the little Revival interlude. But I don't know why people don't like this. Actually, I have a theory. I think it's because dudes like Anthony Fantano listen to it once or twice, and your first 2 times, man, this album's hard to digest. And then, blah, 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 Eminem went back to his old projects, the one that nobody liked, and proceeded to fucking do what he wanted. Yeah, that's the point. Eminem's an artist. He felt he needed to make this project for him. Maybe because he makes this project, he goes on to making that shit you're all hoping for. But for me, I saw a man who is expressing himself as he is. He is, to quote hip-hop, keeping it real. Y'all can't tell me this is a sellout move. He went to the albums people hated and continued that story. The only thing that like I can see genuine criticism is that maybe the production from Rick Rubin is annoying, or certain aspects about things are annoying. But this might be, from a rapping perspective, his most interesting and complex album, the deepest album he's done. And I encourage people to really, really go back to Revival, listen to his wordplay, fucking open Genius and read along, and just think about like the lines that he is dropping and the order of the words he is using and the way he is making things work. And you'll see that he really is doing what he does, and he's pushing shit to the limit. And I think the best example of that is both the songs Chloroseptic and Offended. Basically, nobody really seemed to like those, and the people I saw, but I hated them both at first. I was like, what the fuck is this? Even the song where he's getting interrogated by the cops, it's like framed, I believe. You at first you're like, why? But then you really listen. I listened to all of them. Like, I actually took the time to go, what is Eminem trying to tell me on this album? And I was like, damn, it's insightful shit across the board. It's not like the aimlessness of, say, Relapse and some of that serial killer shit. It's smart. That's, again, Eminem is a great poet, and maybe the intelligence level of the pop market kind of fell below the threshold of what Eminem writes to, and maybe the language went over people's head, but I would highly recommend just taking the time to do a deep dive into the lyrics and some shit, just to see how well written it is, regardless of your opinion on the construction. To me, it's the second best album that came out this year. I was actually listening to it earlier today. I like it more than every other time. Every time I put this album on, I like it more. That's the mark of an interesting, good album. And you know what? My first listen to Revival, I looked at Bonnie and I was like, the fuck is this? Anyway, I feel this album is amazing. And y'all should really give it a chance. Oh, and he's been pop since '08. Fuck. Stop pretending like this is new. Anyone who judged this shit on a track list, like, who the fuck are you to judge a dude on a track list? Like, how is that a measure? Like, there was so much negative reactions to this fucking album, or I just, honestly, I felt embarrassed to be amongst the hip-hop community and watching the level of ignorance thrown at Eminem before it came out. Say what you will after it came out, but before it came out, because Ed Sheeran's on the album. Well, guess what? River's one of my favorite songs. Bad Husband's one of my favorite songs. All that pop shit, I've been loving it since the beginning. He's been pop for fucking ever. This isn't fucking new. It's like, holy shit. You guys weren't paying attention. Eminem is just doing what Eminem does. Y'all just thought you understood what Eminem was, is my opinion of the situation, watching the reactions to shit. Just watching, even the most disappointing was Anthony Fantano. It's like, come on, dude, you know better than that. You praise some weird shit. Why are you shitting on shit? Anyway, this turned into a whole different thing than I was expecting. But Eminem's Revival, my number 2, I can defend that shit. Let's go in the comments. Let me know what you think. Now, let's get to the number 1 album of 2017. That's right. This next album, this is my favorite one. This is the one that I've been calling Album of the Year since I first heard it. It is just magical to me. Okay, you know what? Let's just do it. I know this might not be the best album that came out this year from a technical standpoint or anything like that, but Yelawolf's Trial by Fire is my favorite fucking album. This is like that rap album I have been looking for a very long time. Eminem's album is interesting. This shit is what I would say is like those 3 fires in that red 100 people put when they share shit and spam you to death on. Listen, if you're a rapper, don't put 30 people in your tag shit. It just makes you look whack. But Yelawolf, oh, so good, man. Check it. Trial by Fire comes in with that intro, and it's not actually one of my favorite songs, but I admire what he did on the intro. It just set up this tone for the albums. It's the production meets the Yelawolf together. These 2 elements, like the production is so diverse and alive. Like my 2 favorite songs are Punk and Roll Your Boat. They're back to back. How the hell do you go from Do for Love is right before Punk, don't get me wrong. And these 3 songs in a row, crazy different. There's so much different to these songs, yet they all fit the fucking album. The whole album explores his trial by fire, his growth into the person he is, and he shows all of his influences, all of the multiple styles he has. I know that maybe he's not for you, and maybe he's not your cup of tea, but there's something like Sabrina is like definitely the most interesting song that came out in the entire year. Nobody wrote a song like Sabrina. Hell, nobody might have written a song like Sabrina for a very long time. Maybe in the underground. Maybe there's always somebody in the underground, no matter what, who probably did it. But Sabrina's brilliant. And so many songs on this album are just fucking brilliant, honest, excellently delivered. Hell, Son of a Gun is possibly the best Eminem song to have come out this year. And I say that keeping in mind that, you know, Revival, none of y'all consider Eminem, but this kind of is what you were looking for. Anyway, you don't have to like my opinion on that, but at the end of the day, Trial by Fire is 59 minutes, 14 songs with that one Struggle interlude where Struggle speaks, and it's literally a dude named Struggle speaking, which I learned after doing the review. There's not a song on this album I don't like. I can hit play on this record, and I have multiple times this year, and it's just magical for me. From beginning to fucking end, every song is good. Every song is well thought out. Every song has diversity and life. He has what he needs. Like, I don't know. If you want some weird shit, Sabrina's the song for you. If you want some punk shit, Punk's the song for you. I don't know how to describe it. They're all fucking great. I think it's one of my favorite albums, not just this year, but it might actually rank really high in my list of favorite rap albums of all time at this point, because it's almost like a tailoring to me with my weird set of favorite albums, as you've now gone through this whole list with me. Yeah, that's it. That's Yelawolf. That's the #1 album that came out of 2017. Before we part ways, I wanted to drop a couple of honorable mentions. These honorable mentions are just kind of albums that they did something for me, but ended up not being in my top 15. So, Wiley Godfather. This is a cool album because basically it introduced me to this like grime UK scene. If it's not categorized correctly, I apologize, but I put it on and it nearly made the list. It like was on the list until the very last minute, so it definitely makes the honorable mentions. And the energy on this album, the speed, the technical proficiency, this overall desire he has to put his culture forward, to put in his work to make the next generation's life better. Wiley inspired me on this album, and for that he gets a mention up in this video. Wiley, UG. That's what I'm trying to say. You're the Godfather, obviously UG. Next, we're going to quickly mention GWAR, The Blood of Gods. This was my first GWAR album. It is awesome. There are a few songs I'm not the biggest fan of, but some of my favorite songs might be something like Phantom Limb or Fuck This Place. Those two together, truly beautiful. I want to run through the whole GWAR discography and understand them. The level of detail these dudes put into their work is truly profound, and I was inspired as a songwriter to look at something like how GWAR did it, and it's a great album, and I'm so happy I got to hear it. David Banner's The God box dropped, and it was sick. At least the first half of the album is fucking amazing, and then somewhere around the halfway point, it just kind of, you know what it is? It's got Cleopatra followed by Judy Blair, and I felt those two songs just kind of were contradictory. I missed the point. I missed the point. But then it just kind of felt like the album gave up on trying to be the God box and kind of went into David Banner's kind of dope. And it's a shame because the first like 8 or 9 songs on that album are truly fucking stellar. Like Magnolia's great, Amy's great. It's all year long. Bonnie has been singing out "Pump Your Black Fist," and it's it's one of those songs where as white folk we're just like, are we allowed to sing that in public? I know it's not the N word, but it's just kind of strange. Pump your black fist. Anyway, so I'm putting it out there, asking you because curiosities and all, but truly awesome album, man. I don't understand. Like, I'm so happy that Charlemagne the God and that Joe Budden thing mentioned this album because it reminded me of how good it was, and I just threw it out here. I listened to it. It didn't make my list. However, from a production lyrics point of view, it is really one of the most stellar and diverse albums. And the last honorable mention might actually be my favorite album of 2017. Wait, what? Yes. Lil Peep's Come Over When You're Sober Part 1. Now, if you gonna just hate now, I don't care because you probably didn't bump this shit. This album is deep. It is short, though. It is like 7 songs, and it's tiny. I've listened, though, to this, well, at least the first 4 or 5 songs on it, more times than maybe anything else. I think I've listened to Ben Struck now more times than anything, and I only heard it in November. That's like a month ago, and I'm just lost on this album. It's this great mix of all that emo-y styled stuff I enjoyed as a teenager mixed with hip-hop, and the lyrical delivery, having had just listened to some stuff where there was some expression in how they delivered the lyrics, something like Björk, where it's more than just what they're saying, it's how they say it. And then I thought about that as I listened to him, and I'm like, dude is expressing so much. And then if you go watch his live videos, he can clean sing it. So whatever you're hearing on the record, you can just do. And I have a lot of respect for that. I would highly recommend Lil Peep. Rest in peace. It's an absolute shame that I didn't take you seriously until you were dead. But you're awesome, and it's not just because you died. Lil Peep's album, my favorite album in 2017. And I think that's the end of this list. So, as you know, thank you for watching. Y'all are the reason we do it. The comments, the everything, it explodes, and it's so exciting. I've been going through all the comments of the year to prepare for the contest. Yeah, we have the Grind to 1,000 subscribers contest. So basically, if you leave a comment, like the video, subscribe to the channel, you might win some Amazon money, $100. Plus, you can request some shit. Full information's in the thingy below. But end of the day, thank you all for being with us. I would love to hear your list. Please post your list of 2017 below. I want to hear them. You're going to see some more lists from us throughout the next couple of days or weeks, depending on schedule. I believe Sid is next up, and he'll be here at my place tomorrow recording his top 10 songs of 2017. Looking forward to hearing yours.